the courtroom?
Well, Sarah's a unique individual. I don't know. In a criminal case, it's the time to tell her whole story. I think if it's necessary.
Do you think she really believes herself to be innocent? It is my opinion that she thinks what she did was justified. I don't know. That's my assumption. Wait, hold on a second. They got Sarah Boone's picture with fucking DB, man. She's accused of murdering her boyfriend by zipping him in a suitcase and then leaving him there to suffocate overnight. And then she tried calling 911 the next morning saying that they were just playing hide and go seek. Oh my God, I didn't know he was in there. Oh man. Vinny! Yeah, Vinny's here. I'm Vinny! Dude, they got Sarah Boone next to DB, man. Oh my goodness.
Inmate seeks attorney. Looking for a prosperous challenge? Ready for your close-up on national television? Are you zealous with the side of keen?
Yes, an attorney in Florida. Joining me by phone, Sarah Boone's ninth attorney, James Owens. James.
Why did they use that picture of him? Hold on a second. They could have used a better picture of him for this court. Like, this is like a thumbnail one because it's kind of funny. But like for court TV, like I'm going to use your interview picture. I feel like they could have got a better picture for his interview.
James, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thumbnail's a different story, okay?
Thanks, Vinny, for having me.
Okay, the first question I know everyone's asking you, why? Why did you take this case, James?
Because I want to be on court TV. I want to talk to you, Vinny. I think that's a good answer.
Well, you know, I watch a lot of YouTube and I watch a lot of court TV, and I've been following this case just like all the other true crime people do, and you know, kept watching it being delayed and the lawyers being switched, and then saw that the judge got fed up and ruled that she had forfeited her right to a court-appointed counsel. And so that's a rare event. You know, as lawyers, we know that, you know, everybody has a right to a lawyer, a court-appointed lawyer, if you can't afford one. So
I like how he said, that's a rare event. It sure is. Imagine what type of person you got to be for that to happen to you.
On a serious charge, a felony, in this case it was a murder, for the judge to revoke that right was a serious decision on his part. I don't disagree. I respect the court's decision, but that left her facing a murder charge without a lawyer, which is unheard of, I think. And so, you know, I watched for a while, and then I saw the ad on your show, and I think...
He's going to say he's a big fan of Vinny. Vinny, I'm a big fan of yours.
I think that you had said something implying, hey, who's gonna take the case? What lawyer in Florida is gonna pick up the torch, so to speak? And I think you had somebody on, maybe it was a lawyer from the Northeast, and I think I remember that lawyer saying, man, if I was a license in Florida, I'd take the case, you know, under that scenario, because she really needs a lawyer. Everybody needs a lawyer. And so the ad came out, and I sat there and waited for 3 or 4 weeks. I can't remember now how long I waited, but I was thinking that a lawyer out of Orlando would pick up the case. Somebody would think, hey, this is not right. There's no way she's going to get a fair trial representing herself. It's unfair. But there's a gap in the system. The judge made a decision based on her conduct that she had forfeited a right to a lawyer. I believe that's where the private sector has got to step in. Somebody in the private sector in that situation, and it's rare, should step in.
And if you guys already haven't, watch his interview with he's like interviewed outside at the courthouse after the September 3rd hearing. Watch that. It's actually like 24 minutes long. It's pretty fucking long because he talks a lot. He gives us a lot of details, and I think it's quite interesting.
Like I say, I waited.
The second Boone interview is audio only. Oh, are you in my Discord? Can you link it to us? I don't think I've listened to it yet. Was it before the video interview, I guess?
Nobody responded in the local area.
Nope.
So I just happened to have a case down in Hillsborough County that I was going to, down in Tampa. And so I knew I was scheduled for court down there. So about a week before that, I sent her a letter, and she had a third party contact me to, I guess, check me out to see if I was legitimate. And
Yeah, because initially when he wrote a letter to her, they thought he was catfishing her. She had someone from Minnesota to verify that he wasn't trying to catfish her. Okay, is it on YouTube? What's the title? I'll search for it. I hate him for the interview alone. You know, during the interview when I was listening to it, I was like, okay, he's like very chatty. He's giving us all the tea. I'm willing to listen. But then at the interview where he ended it with George's brother, about how George's brother recently, oh God, that's like a whole mess. I think it was like this year too. George's brother was accused of murdering his girlfriend by stabbing her in the head or something. And then like he brought that up. I'm like, okay, we're talking about his brother. Like, okay. Okay.
Well, I think everyone's
I
been.
think he should have just focused on George exclusively and not like George is dangerous, but his brother's super dangerous because did you guys know that he's a murderer? Like, I don't know, why are we focusing on the brother? I don't know. It's like he was trying to get people really scared or something about the Torres' family. Like, okay, like, yeah, the brother, yeah, horrible, fucking bad. But why don't you just focus on George?
Checking you out in the last couple days, and everybody knows you are absolutely legitimate, James. I mean, you have quite a history.
I've been doing it a long time. I've been doing it a long time. So anyway, she reached out to me, and then a couple of days later, Sarah called me from the jail in Orange County, in Orlando. And we talked for a little bit, and I explained to her that I was coming down that Wednesday, but I'd come down early and spend Tuesday talking to her, and she agreed.
No, the brother isn't George. The brother is George is a victim. The brother is, he had like a weird name, Farah or something like that. Pharaoh.
Agreed. So I drove down Monday after work. Tuesday morning,
can you describe that meeting without, you know, I know attorney-client communications is off limits, but how would you describe that meeting to someone? Like, was it different than meeting other clients for the first time?
The first meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah, the murder weapon was still in her head.
No, it was, it was a 4-hour meeting. I usually don't meet with clients in the jail for that long, so I gave her a chance to talk and just listened. For a long time, she had a lot to say. Obviously, she's been in jail for 4 years. And, we had a good meeting. Just, again, I think she has trust issues because she felt like she did have some good lawyers that were on her case and just withdrew because they would get in some arguments about issues, I guess. And
They would get into some arguments about some issues? I don't know if it was just getting into some arguments about some issues. Like, yeah, he made it seem like they're just like little, like he's just like minimizing. Like, oh, I don't know, they would just get into like some arguments. I don't know, but like some issues or something.
And so she said they wouldn't even tell her anything at the jail, but the next thing you know, she would, be sent to court, and the lawyer had filed a motion to withdraw. So she didn't, trust the lawyers because she didn't know who to trust. She'd been with so many. So a lot of it was just trying to build trust with her. After she talked a little bit, I told her a little bit about myself. So really feeling.
And then also, George's brother was accused of murder. I don't know what happened with him. I was like trying to look up his case. I don't know if it's like still pending trial or what's going on. But what happened with George's brother, that happened this year. Not in 2020, 2019, 2018, 2017. That happened this year. Because I thought he was going to be like, oh, she knew that, maybe this family is capable of doing horrible things. And then she thought of George's brother when she, left George in the suitcase. But the murder happened like in 2024. I think was it a couple months ago or the beginning of this year?
Each other out and trying to build some kind of rapport was the first meeting, which was about 4 hours. But I think early on in the case, I was able to persuade her that I knew what I was talking about because I was prepared. When I got there, I was prepared, and I played part of that 4 hours. I played the prosecutor, and I pulled out the jury instructions, and I made an argument as a prosecutor would make to a jury, and I had her sit there and listen to it. And I think that was effective. I don't think she had anybody ever do that to her and explain it to her that way of how it would play out in court. And that got.
It was weird for him to bring it up. I think like after the interview, he like talked about it, and then like he was like ready to do like a slam dunk statement. I don't know. I don't know if the effect that it had was what he had in mind. To me, I was kind of like, wait, what? Where the fuck did that come from?
Got her attention, and initially I was going down there. Now let me tell you, my initial thought going down there was this: she didn't have a lawyer. And once that happens, once they're pro se, then you know as well as I do that all these cases are up for negotiation. Plea agreements are pretty much on the table at any time, and judges recommend, the courts recommend, you try to work cases out. The vast majority of cases get worked out with pleas. So, I talked to her about that, and that was my intent. I'd called the prosecutor and told him I was coming down there to speak with her ahead of time, and he wanted me to file some kind of a notice of appearance, and I didn't want to do that. I wasn't ready to take on the case. So I got her to sign a document essentially saying, hey, I don't want to negotiate directly with you, state attorney. I would like for James Owens to work, just to talk to you. And so she signed that, and I did, for a couple of days, talk to the prosecutor. I was trying to resolve it.
Right. And
I felt like the judge is fixing to have a trial, a 3-week trial with a pro se defendant. Prosecutor's fixing to have a trial with a 3-week trial with a pro se defendant. It was not going to be fair. And I felt like they might be in a posture to try to negotiate something that would be doable. So that was my first intent, was not to handle the case, not to try the case. If we got something worked out.
Yeah, I wonder, man, I'm so nosy. I want to know what that looked like, the plea deal. So nosy.
Then I would file a notice of appearance, and we'd set it for a court date to resolve it.
Hi, Lemon.
That didn't happen,
was my first. No, it didn't. And, I left that 4-hour meeting. I went to Tampa the next day, had court, and then turns out the investigator that had been assigned to the pro se litigant, Sarah Boone, he was meeting with her that evening at 7, so I asked if I could just join. So I came back over and spent about an hour and a half with her and Billy Lane, the investigator. And we talked some more, and I was convinced that there was going to be no plea bargaining. So I told her I was not representing her and I was leaving, and I
actually wonder how does Sarah Boone feels about like him giving us so much information and details about their meeting and how he didn't want to represent her initially, and then how he went back and he thought about it. Like, I don't know, because like she doesn't know about this, obviously, right? She doesn't have internet access, she doesn't have like TV access. Maybe she'll get like word of mouth or something. But like, I'll be like, if I was like his client, I'd be like, why are you giving it so why are you spilling so much tea? Shut the fuck up.
Emailed the prosecutor or called the prosecutor and said, look, we've reached an impasse. There's no agreement, and I'm not going to be representing her. And I went home. And I want to say a couple of days later, Sarah called me, and we talked some more. And I told her Vinny,
So, but at this point, she's now reaching out to.
She must have given him permission, but like, why? I feel like she doesn't like it when the media knows about things, right? I feel like this doesn't really make her look good or any better. I don't know. I have a hard time believing that she was like, hey, you know what? You can feel free to tell everyone about our interactions. About how we didn't get along at first, and how you didn't want to represent me at first, and how we're going back and forth on a plea deal and all that stuff. I don't know. I just feel like, if I was her, I wouldn't want my shit out there.
To you, because she wants James Owens to represent her.
I don't think he's breaking confidentiality because like he's not saying anything. I feel like it's like not anything explicit between like her case and the defense. It's more like, oh, this is my communication with her and how I approached it and stuff like that. Like, I don't think that's breaking confidentiality. Because he's not saying that like, oh, yeah, Sarah Boone told me this, like about that night with George and blah, blah, blah. It's just like, okay, like I talked to her, we met. Like, it's like very vague information.
Sure.
Well, we did connect. We did connect. And I think she was overwhelmed being her own lawyer. She was stressed out. Yeah. She had all this discovery that she was trying to go over. She didn't know what she was doing. She didn't know the rules of procedure, rules of evidence. And she had told the judge, I think they'd had a couple of hearings on some issues, and she said, Judge, this is not fair. I don't know what I'm doing. And the judge kept saying, well, I'm sorry, ma'am, but this is your position. So I think she was just thankful that I came down to see her. We had, some good meetings. So I think she really needed some help. So I think that was partly to do with it. But there were still some issues because I think she was let down because I said I wasn't going to represent her.
Right.
So we got off the phone. I still said I wasn't committed to it, but I was thinking about it. But as you know, second-degree murder trial, and the judge had set a firm date for October the 7th, which is really difficult to do. I mean, you pretty much have to shut down.
I wonder if Sarah has to get the laptop and all the stuff back. Actually, you will be able to find out probably next week because the IMS report will detail whether or not she's going to be getting her laptops, USB, and all that stuff. So I'm sure that will be given to the judge unless the judge decides to stop doing the IMS report stuff.
Down your practice for 30 days, for 6 weeks.
Absolutely.
And just to try to catch up and just be, which is essentially what I'm having to do. Now,
well, you've seen the body cam, all the interrogation videos, the 911 call, and then, of course, the cell video. It starts there, right? But in terms of getting prepared in 30 days for this trial, that's 4 years old and a lot of things have happened. Can you do it? And will you be ready?
Well, I'm gonna do my best with the time I've got left. That's all I can do. I'm gonna get some help. I've got to get some staff helping me. I've got a couple of lawyers that are buddies of mine.
Let me see. What's the timestamp? 2:24. What does it say? Is that T? T1813 12Z?
That have offered their help. So,
I should send that lawyer from the Northeast down to help you. Joseph Krowski is the guy.
Yeah.
We'll let him know that he's the reason that you jumped in the case. He may fly down there to help you. He's up in Boston. It's cold. He may come down and help you.
That'd be.
No, like in my opinion, I think he's getting like really close to it. Like, I feel like there's some stuff. Like, are you okay with sharing some of this stuff? I feel like he's like getting really close to it. Like, he's not talking about like the contents of like, oh, Sarah Boone confessed to this. Sarah Boone said this about that night, whatever. But like, I feel like he's getting kind of close to it. And he's talking about like the interaction. Like, oh yeah, we did a pretend prosecutor jury thing. Like, we did this, we did that. So I'm like, would Sarah Boone be okay with you saying all this?
Be great. And I've got two lawyers that, like I say, I think are going to help me. I'm pretty much committed to it. They're friends of mine, and I trust them, and they want to help me. And they realize I thought the case was going to be continued. I respect the judge's decision, but I really, really thought.
Let me ask you this: have you spoken to any of the other 8?
Yes, I spoke to Ms. Cashman, who was the last lawyer that had it. I've tried to speak to Mr. Padilla out of Miami. He's the one that had the case initially. Mm-hmm. He had it for about 2 years, maybe 2.5 years. He did most of the discovery, took most of the depositions. I think they were pretty much ready for trial or getting close, and he withdrew. But I've tried to call him a couple of times. I know he's been in a double homicide case that he just got out of, but I never was able to speak with him.
And you're doing this pro bono? I mean, I don't think she has much.
No.
What are you getting?
Well,
actually, what's interesting is that I found this Reddit post. Okay. I apologize if this question doesn't really deserve its own post, but continuously people on YouTube claim that Sarah was offered a 10-year, sometimes the number is 15, plea agreement early on that she turned down. I've actually never seen any proof of this anywhere. I haven't seen it featured in any of the paperwork that people have uploaded to YouTube or heard Sarah mention it anywhere. So far, it seems like a rumor that people keep passing around. I don't know. I didn't hear about that. I don't think I remember hearing her getting offered a 10-year or like a 15-year plea deal. Let's see. Comments, plea deals. Plea negotiations are typically not public, not on record. Judge isn't privy on them. The exception is on my state. Was that reported somewhere, like on Court TV or Law and Crime? Maybe it was like, oh, insider said that there was possibly a plea deal. Because I only heard about the plea thing in the most recent hearings, like after she went pro se. But before she went pro se, I didn't hear anything about it. What about this one?
Sarah's got to pay me back one day.
Okay. Okay.
That was the agreement I had. I wanted her to understand that she needs to be self-reliant and she needs to be responsible for fees. I've got a bunch of clients that are paying me, and some of them only pay $50 a month. And but it's important to me. It's important to them, that we have an arrangement to make payments, and that's what I told her.
Do you think?
I feel.
Do you think she needs to tell her story in the courtroom?
Well.
Yes.
Sarah's a unique individual.
That's the nicest way I've ever heard it put. Sarah's she a unique individual. Yeah, she sure is.
In the courtroom?
Well, Sarah's a unique individual. I don't know. In a criminal case, is the time to tell her whole story. I think if it's necessary, she'll take the stand. We're just going to.
Shit, I don't think he wants her to testify. But I don't see how I don't see how they can present her side of the story, her defense, without having her testify, though. I feel like she needs to testify.
See how the case plays out. We'll make that decision when the time comes. Of course, she's got a lot to say. She's filed a lot of pleadings, a lot of letters.
We've seen them. Trust me, we see it. So, James, this is what I want to do. I want to stay in contact with you, and we are legitimately going to reach out to Joseph Krowski to see if he is willing to get down there if he needs an extra hand. But also wanted to let you know that I wanted to let you go now because I know you've got some discovery. You got a couple more hours tonight. You can jump in there and as you get ready for this. But I hope that we can reach out to you as we get closer and closer to the trial and grab a couple minutes of your time.
Thanks, Vinny. Appreciate you.
James Owens, folks, this is how the system works. It doesn't work if lawyers just look away and don't jump in like this. Everyone, whether you believe they're guilty or not guilty, it doesn't matter. Without defense attorneys stepping in like James Owens is in this case, the whole system crumbles. It absolutely crumbles. So pretty amazing that he jumped into this as lawyer number 9. Okay, we got a lot to get to still. When we come back, we'll bring in our thing.
Also, I think there'll be less of a hair pulling since he's representing her. I'd rather have someone represent her. I am okay with him representing her. I am fine with it. All right, y'all. That's James Owens. I mean, we've had a 45. We had a 428. No, shit. Now I forgot. How long was his first interview? Was it 24 minutes? 24 minutes, and now he talked to court TV. I'm interested in hearing from him. It is very interesting indeed. I think we have a hearing set for this, in like 2 weeks on Friday. The 27th. Does that overlap with Donna Adelson? That might overlap with Donna Adelson. When is Donna Adelson's case starting again? Because I was going to do a whole ass video on Miss Donna Adelson. I got to do that soon. Let's see. Donna Adelson. Next week, right? Ooh, next week. Time be flying. I bet the prosecution is glad a real lawyer is on the case. I just feel like it just makes it more smooth. It's better for everyone, I feel like it's just way better. Let's have attorneys do their jobs, okay? Let's have attorneys do their jobs.